Welcome to your doom.
What's up, everybody? This is Justin.
This is Atul.
And you are listening to the Welcome to Your Doom show. We are doing today's episode. The main topic is going to be the latest DC entry called Shazam.
Shazam it.
It's one of those words that you just want to say, like
the end of it,
emphatically.
Like the last syllable, I think, goes up several octaves, yeah.
At least.
Decibel levels, not octaves, otherwise you'd start singing.
Shazam!
Exactly. And I promise that we will not ever do that again.
I have made no such promises. Don't you promise anything for me.
So before we jump into that, I wanted to talk about something else real quick. The Joker trailer came out recently, and it's directed by Todd Phillips. And I actually liked the trailer. Did you get a chance to see that?
I did, and I liked it too for the most part. We've had debates about this before in terms of linking it to a grander universe. I don't think that the trailer shows that it can't be linked to a grander universe, but at the same time, they've said that they don't want to do that. They want it to be its own standalone film.
Yeah, I don't really care actually. Like I don't think it's necessary. I think it's great that they can have their cake and eat it too. That's what like Marvel's What Ifs and what DC's Elseworlds are basically all for. Those books were those lines of books and both of those universes have always been a way out for writers to just be like, okay, there's this character I want to play around with, but there is a continuity I'm beholden to in the main line story.
Yeah.
I just want to write something else that's totally nuts.
Fair enough.
In an Elseworld story or a What If story.
I think the reason that I feel like it could be a bit of a shame that it's not brought into a bigger universe is it looks dope. Like,
yeah, it looks good. Yeah.
Phoenix's portrayal of the Joker looks awesome. So I'd love to see him play in a bigger universe with bigger characters and stuff like that. But I do understand what you're saying. You're not wrong.
I don't. Yeah, and I don't think.
You're right. Or sorry, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're right, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I don't think that they've written themselves into written walls around this movie either, right? Yeah. So if it ends up being successful and there's a logical way to pull it in, sure, go ahead and pull it in. But that won't take away that this movie is a standalone movie,
right?
And it always will exist no matter what happens after.
Yeah.
People, I was just about to address that. Some people have issues with Todd Phillips being the director because a lot of people just don't really like the Hangover movies. Some of the other movies that he did don't think that he's a talented director. The Hangover films, to me, were always had this dark, mean sense of humor about them.
Really?
Like especially the third one. I don't know if you've ever seen the third one.
I haven't, actually. I've seen 1 and 2, but never got to the third.
The third movie plays out like this. It's a weird, dark comedy. There is some shit that happens in that movie where it's like, oh, that's kind of twisted, and I've always felt that way about those movies. So when he was announced as the director of Joker, I was reading some responses as I do, and I really shouldn't because they're, it all just like rubs me the wrong way typically, but I can't.
Yeah, you're never. I don't know why you're like.
I can't help
those
it.
Comments.
Yeah, I can't help it. My wife tries to stop me from doing it too because Anyway, I was reading something and everyone's like Todd Phillips, blah blah, like really kind of like that's ridiculous. This movie's gonna be garbage, is gonna be trash. And I was like, the response I had was like, I feel like he's the right person for this because there was these dark undertones, especially in the third Hangover movie, that I think will play really well in this movie, where that's what this is.
Yeah,
that's So I saw the trailer and I liked it, and Joaquin never doesn't throw himself at a role and with zeal, and there's the one shot of him pulling his face.
Yeah.
Like this, his
He's
cheeks
fish
hooking himself on both sides.
Yeah, yeah.
Fake it, like having a coat hanger in his mouth kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was that's perfect. Like I haven't seen that anywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of unique...
He's making it his own. He's really making it his own. And the tagline for the movie, it's not shared by anything else. Like, Heath Ledger had, let's put a smile on that face, or why so serious. Why so serious was kind of his catch. Like, put a smile on that face was like Nicholson.
Yeah.
And and now he's got the put on what is it? Put on a happy face. That's what it.
I can't even remember.
Yeah. But he's got like it's such a different perspective that I'm happy to see it, and a lot of people are again I'm ranting here, but a lot of people are saying that demystifying the Joker or having an origin story, it's dumb. He's a force of nature. He's this, he's that. I'm like,
he doesn't
guys,
need to be.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous that like if you look at the comics, like he talks so much.
Yeah.
He talks so much. When you talk about when Rob Zombie, I don't know who Ron is, but
Ron Howard's undead future version.
Yeah, that's right. When Rob Zombie did the new Halloween, there were a lot of complaints about demystifying Michael Myers. That I understood because Michael Myers is a force of nature in all of his movies. He doesn't talk, he's got character, but it's all physicality.
Yeah.
Right? So demystifying him, there is a demystification there. But with someone as electric and and talkative, just his entire he's putting on a show all the time. The Joker.
Yeah, of course.
He's putting on a show all the time. And
it would be funny if Rob Zombie came out with his Halloween film and it's just like show tunes with Michael Myers. Dun, 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 dun. Anyways.
But yeah, no, I think it's really kind of crazy to say that you shouldn't be demystifying the Joker. Like he's a force of nature. I'm like, he's not Michael Myers. He's not Jason. He's the Joker, and he's a criminal. And he talks a lot, and he has a ton of character, and it's like,
you know what it is? I think that the comic book origins of the Joker really are all you really know about his origin for certain.
Yeah.
Is that he fell into a vat of acid as the Red Hood. That's basically it.
Yeah.
You've seen a bunch of other stories, but they're all told from his weird perspective, and he's not all there.
Sure.
Or, what's his name? Alex Ross. He had a panel where, I think it was in Batman Black and White, which is great, where it's telling the Joker's origin. It's talking about how he was a small-time hood and blah, 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 blah. And it's being told from the perspective of a psychiatrist. And then just at the end of the story, because it's like a 4-page story, all of a sudden Harley comes by and she starts reiterating what the story is. And the psychiatrist says, how do you know that? He's like, oh, that's one of the stories he tells. Basically, it's saying, oh, it's another piece of fiction. And so that's the mystery behind the Joker, is the fact that you don't know where it comes from.
Exactly.
They kind of alluded to that in The Dark Knight by saying there's nothing in his no ID, his co-star, like he's just a ghost.
And he tells different stories about how he got the scars.
Exactly. So
and,
I get the demystifying part. However, I will say this is, in any medium, you can tell an origin story however you want.
Yeah.
Whether or not it demystifies it, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Do it well, and people aren't going to complain anymore.
I agree. I think that there are a lot of fans that are holding these properties so close to the chest, that it really kind of just contaminates their opinion, of a lot of these things, and that's really kind of like, I don't want to be cliche, but it's kind of that toxic fandom that I can't stand it. I cannot stand it.
You gotta stop reading those comments, bro.
I got it.
Just
It's really
relax.
getting under my skin. But I can't stand it. So when someone's like, I'm gonna make a Joker Origins movie, and like all of the headlines are these snarky headlines, I'm like, just give me the news.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hear your fucking opinion. Just give me the news. If I want your opinion, I'll read the comments, and I 100% do that all the time. So I kind of do it to myself. So, but
that's completely self-inflicted.
Yeah, that's right. So liked it. I'm kind of excited to see what they do with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely check it out. All right,
shall we jump in?
Let's talk about this movie now.
Let's take a look at Shazam, the latest entry in the shared Jimon Hansu cinematic universe. Let's count them. I've got a list here.
Hansu. Okay.
Constantine.
Yeah.
It's a DC property.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel property. Aquaman, Captain Marvel, Shazam. That is a lot.
He's not kidding around,
Mr.
man.
Hansu.
Yeah, it's a lot of Hansu.
And
in this one, he plays a fucking wizard.
You're talking about range. Let's talk about range. He played a mercenary. He played a demon. He played a merman.
Yeah.
Right? He played a merman, and now he's playing an ancient wizard.
Yeah, with a really bad headpiece and beard.
Yeah.
He was distracting.
It was distracting how bad that beard was.
Oh my god.
That was like, you know, when some schools do like a play of, you know, like of like at Christmas time.
Yeah, that's
and
perfect.
someone's playing
Moses?
or
not Moses.
Not Moses, like one of the wise men.
Yeah.
Or and they've got the strapped on beard on the face, and they're in the manger and stuff. That's kind of what that reminded me of.
Awful.
It was really bad.
I was just like, really? Is this the best? There was a shot from the trailer, and I think me and you argued about this maybe on the podcast. Yeah. But there's a shot, and there's the wizard, and he's kind of hunched over, and he's in the dark.
You can't see him.
That wasn't Jimon Hansu, because the hairpiece there, I think, was better. I think it was more straight. This one is just like, let's electrify him and just have it go boom.
Yeah, they poofed it out a little bit.
Because at the time, originally somebody else was cast, or maybe just doing stand-in.
No, I think
he wasn't cast from the beginning. I don't think so, man.
Dude. He was. That's his voice in the trailer.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, he was cast after the trailer was cut.
No,
I don't know, man.
He was cast.
We'll have to take a look. We'll take a look at that after, and then I will update the fine people on this discussion in my intro.
And your friendly neighborhood Justin was right. Originally, Ron Cephas Jones was cast as the Wizard Shazam. Due to scheduling conflict, it appears he wasn't actually able to fulfill his duties in the role. However, Jimon Hansu stepped in seemingly after the production had wrapped and filled in as the Wizard Shazam. So, Justin 1, Atul 0. Let's get back to the show.
Because honestly, his face was all dark in that trailer
but that shot is not in the movie.
That's what I'm saying and the hair was different.
So
too.
Maybe there was a stand-in for that shot for whatever reason, but he was cast.
Yeah, but they had shot wizard stuff before that.
Sure, yeah, yes. But we knew.
So I was right, basically, is what you're saying.
No, you're not.
I am absolutely right.
You're not right. Yeah. We'll come back to this later. How did you feel about the movie? Did you like it?
I thought it was all right. It didn't blow me away, but only because this type of movie's not my wheelhouse, I will say. Mm-hmm. It's kind of... I'm too old or cranky these days to be, super into a Home Alone-esque kind of coming-of-age story, I guess, as you would put it.
Okay, look. When I call something a coming-of-age story...
Well, I just figure it has children in it, so it's a coming-of-age story.
No.
He came of age of 30-something with a single word.
All right.
In any case... I don't know. These type of movies usually don't play as well with me, but that's just because I'm a miserable grump.
Yeah.
However, I do respect the fact that this was a very different movie. This wasn't like to compare it to the Marvel universe, right?
One does.
Well, I will in this case because it would if you put this in that Marvel universe, it stands out like a Guardians of the Galaxy in a good way.
Yeah.
Because it's unique. It's a very unique take on on a character that warrants this type of take.
Sure.
But it's a different take on this type of movie than in any of these shared universes or any superhero movies done before. So I give it a lot of kudos for that.
Yeah.
I would absolutely recommend it for anybody to see because I think that it will hit with a lot of people. It's just some of this kiddie shit I'm just like, I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah. I liked it a lot. Mm-hmm. So I liked it more than you did. It's kind of like the movie reminds me of an 80s Amblin movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like you were talking about Home Alone, but there is a bit of that in there. So I would say it's like an 80s Amblin entertainment with like a Goonies or a Gremlins or like an E.T. sort of thing going on, and spliced with a cheesy 90s movie. It's kind of like those two if they had a baby together.
Yeah. That's kind of my Home Alone thing.
Yeah.
I kind of look at Home Alone like that,
yeah,
too.
That's right. And I love the idea of kids going to see this movie and feel like they're watching something dangerous.
Oh, okay.
Because there is something... So this movie's directed by David Sandberg, I think is his name. Mm-hmm. He did a short film that I saw, and I watched 100 times because when we were doing our Halloween movies, I'd always show a short movie before doing like the actual Halloween film in October. He's a horror director. He did a short film called Lights Out, and I think you've seen that before too, where it's very scary. It's funny and scary.
Yes.
But really scary.
Yeah. When the scare comes.
It's so well executed. He ended up doing an Annabelle movie called Annabelle Creation. The first Annabelle movie apparently is really bad. second one that he did is supposed to be very good. I haven't seen it. And then he did a feature-length film based on the short film called Lights Out, which I haven't seen, and I haven't seen it because it looks fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And like I can't even bring myself to watch that.
We should do that for Drinking with Skeletons.
We should. When you're feeling like it just looks like a terrifying movie,
Yeah.
and I can't even bring myself to watch it. But now he's directing Shazam, and this is like there's tons of examples of this, and we went over that before, like Michael Dougherty doing Godzilla, the new War of the Monsters, King of Monsters,
or
yeah,
something of the monsters,
and James Wan doing like Aquaman, and like all of these small horror directors. And this guy's a horror director, and he sneaks that shit into this movie any way he can.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about that in the spoilers, but there's an 80s vibe to this. Like Gremlins is a scary movie.
Yeah.
It's a scary movie, but it's played like a children's movie,
yes.
right? Like a kids movie. So, I love the fact that there are going to be kids that grow up with Shazam that feel like they're watching something dangerous.
Yeah.
While at the same time it has a core set of values that it executes very well. The central themes of like family and dealing with abandonment, and like I thought they were actually handled really well. I didn't feel like it bludgeoned you over the head with them, and I thought it was elegant the way they laid it out. I didn't feel like I'm like, okay, enough with the family stuff already. I never felt like that, like I did, on Logan, where I'm like, he's literally fighting his past. Like that always bugs me when themes are like shoved down your throat. And I didn't feel like that happened in this movie.
No, it was for the most part more subtle. Acting, I will say this, though Levy would annoy me at certain times.
Yeah.
At a certain point, he kind of ramps it up a little bit too much, but it's more about duration than, I guess, height of annoying.
Like how long, you mean? How long?
Yeah, how long some of that stuff goes on. But his portrayal of a boy trapped in a man's body basically was great.
I think it was just spot on.
Yeah, I would agree. He was very good. I will say this: I still don't like the suit. I like the. Sorry, let me take that back.
I have a note about the suit.
I like the suit. I don't like the fact that a guy that is, I think he's bigger than I am height-wise, and he's pretty jacked in general. You don't need to put a fucking muscle suit on that.
Well, you see his stomach, and like he's not. When he's
stomach.
Breathing up and down, I saw his like
up underneath a whole bunch of foam latex.
No, he's not.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's not his stomach.
There is a scene in there when he's like, I thought I saw
It's not his stomach. Dude, he's wearing a full body suit.
I actually really liked the suit.
I like the look of the suit. The detailing on the suit, the lions on the buttons.
Yeah.
The cape looks great. The hood looks great.
Lightning bolt in particular was really well done, because I don't know if you noticed in a lot of the scenes where they're talking the lightning bolts in the shot, there is like something going on in there all the time. Like I didn't notice. It's like these weird like patterns, like these black sort of patterns underneath the lightning thing. So it's actually like it's pretty neat. Like they put a lot of thought into that.
But they didn't think enough that Zach Levi would come to the fucking set yoked, and they're like, let's put a bodysuit on this guy. Like it I don't know. Every time I looked at him, at certain angles it looked okay, but at other times, I'm just like, his arms don't need to be this big. Like even like you look at like Henry Cavill or Ben Affleck. Yeah. I mean, they had bodysuits that were a little bit anamorphically. Is it anamorphically?
No way in hell it's that way.
Yeah,
no matter how you were trying to use it.
You see more of the muscular definition and stuff like that in the bodysuits, and it's definitely ramped up. But this one just looks cartoony. Like it looks like a muscle suit. Yeah. From a bad Halloween costume,
and I think that's I personally, I think that's the point, because
really,
Captain Marvel's always been like the big cheese, like the big red cheese. Every depiction of him in comics back in the day, even now, he's obnoxiously large. Like his shoulders are always huge. He's always drawn in this style where he's just larger than life, all the time. And his shoulders here are like massive, and like his arms are massive.
Okay,
so I thought it fit with exactly like what they were going for, but
then I think that they should have revisited what they were going for, because that did not play well. It looked absurd. In most cases,
is absurd though.
But that's not good. You don't want something absurd on scene that you can't get past. Like every time you'd be moving around, like aside from like very high intense action scenes, or like close-ups and stuff, and just like.
But he had no problem moving in that suit.
No, he didn't look stiff. No, he didn't look stiff. And like I said, this is all about the fact that you've got this dude that could pull it off with a little bit of muscle suit. Like Cavill's was not that big. There's a lot of definition in there that's in the thing, but it wasn't as poofy and kind of
Yeah.
cartoony as this, and I
Yeah.
really didn't. I thought it looked ridiculous.
All right,
So
fair enough.
we'll have to agree to disagree on that one, but
yeah.
I'm definitely right. So
Sure.
fuck
you.
What other,
Here we go.
We also got Mark Strong in this movie, who
Yeah.
was
He's
notably weak.
yeah, he was
It was his character
I
was
think
weak.
they start the movie off with this movie is this is I mean, anyway, we'll get into that in spoilers. Anyway, he has an arc, but they skip this. It's a duration of time that kind of like flattens him out. Like
Yeah.
it starts like, oh, there's going to be something a little bit more here,
Exactly.
and they flatten him out a little bit by the end. And I was like, sure. And that is it is he is weak.
Yeah.
He is weak. And it's only made more apparent because they started him off as not
Grandiose.
yeah,
Absolutely.
they gave him a backstory. But I actually think, you know, he's a serviceable villain, and I think he has some stuff going for him even toward the end of the
Yeah.
movie that we can get into in
Sure.
the spoilers. But in general, I would say that, you know, he wasn't bad. And I think that he was a good foil for Shazam, but not like a knockout.
No, and it's not. I don't think it's his fault as a performer. I think it's just they didn't give him. They gave him so much to do at the beginning that there wasn't much left over for him. To do.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a couple more things. Yeah, so we talked about Zachary Levi, but Asher Angel and Jack Dylan Grazer. These
Levi
two
or Levy?
Levi. What did I say?
I think you said Levi.
I did because I
think it's Zach
'cause I'm
Levi.
wearing them. I'm wearing him.
I will fucking slap you. All right, go ahead.
Asher Angel and Jack Dylan Grazer, who Asher Angel plays Billy Batson when he's a kid, and Jack Dylan Grazer plays when essentially he ends up being his best friend from the foster home. And I think they are very good. All the kids in this movie were very good. Even if they're given so little screen time, they manage to really, you know, their names and you know what their characteristics are. And so I think that the performances all were very strong. Like even Mark Strong's performance, but so like that's a rarity. Like that's something that sets it apart from other, you know, superhero movies that I've seen. Suit looks great. Okay, so some cons. We already got into some of those. One con I would say that I would dock the movie points for, even though I really did like it, was there's no real standout action sequence. Like I go to look at when I've watched Aquaman, like the scenes from Aquaman multiple times now, and it's because it just has absolutely insane, awesome, well choreographed, well designed action sequences.
Right.
This doesn't have bad action. I think some of the action's great. It has better moments. I think there are moments in this movie's built from moment to moment.
Yeah.
And the moments are great. The execution of the action is it's good. It's entertaining. And I would say the action in this movie is better than the action in Captain Marvel, let's say.
Right.
But Captain Marvel did have one standout scene that I really did enjoy, which was like that galactic sort of fight toward the end. This one didn't really have that scene. It's like when I buy this on 4K on Blu-ray, like I'm going to revisit. This movie is a good movie to me in general. It has great moments, but those action sequences, you know, like I'm not going to use this movie to demo like my home theater, for example, right?
Yeah.
So that was one thing. It sags a little bit in the middle in terms of pacing, but when I walked out of that movie, I had no idea it was over 2 hours. Like I didn't feel like it was long. But there was a moment there where it sags in the middle for me. But I actually thought it went by pretty quick.
True.
So those are my cons. Did you have anything else? Or?
No. Everything else we'll get into probably right now.
Let's do it. Let's go into spoilers.
All right. So the movie opens up, and you were introduced to
John Glover.
Yeah, it is John Glover.
John Glover. I freaked out when I saw this guy because he plays Thaddeus Savannah's dad. Sorry, I know you were going to get into this, but they're in a car.
Yeah.
They're in a car. John Glover plays Thaddeus's dad, and Thaddeus has an older brother who's sitting in the front seat. John Glover. And, I just made the comparison to Gremlins. I didn't even put this together.
He's number 2. He's awesome.
He's in
the best boss of all time.
Yeah, he's in Gremlins 2, and I saw more of Gremlins 2 than I did of Gremlins 1 growing up. And didn't he play Luthor?
Yep. No, he played Lex Luthor's abusive dad. And in this film, he is now Savannah's abusive father. So they're in a car, and then all of a sudden, he's with his Magic 8 Ball playing around in the back seat. His dad's yelling at him about being a bitch. And he was all of a sudden transported to, what's the cave's name? All I know is the Rock.
It's the Rock of
Okay,
Eternity.
he's transported to the cave that houses the Rock of Eternity and
Yeah.
the wizard Shazam, a.k.a. Juman Hunsu.
Yes.
And he basically checks to see if he's worthy of taking the mantle of Shazam. And he basically is not, because he's tempted by the 7 sins. And then Shazam's like, you are a piece of shit, get out of my cave.
Yeah.
Then they get into a car accident, and then you get taken into the present day. So, let's unpack that first. It was a doozy of an opening scene.
I was like, this movie is not fucking around. And this is when I knew, when we after the scene where I was like, this is an 80s Amblin movie.
Yeah.
It is a movie that is taking chances. It's PG-13, and it rides that PG-13 right down to the line. It uses every ounce of PG-13 it can get. Although, I think you're allowed a fuck, like a single F-bomb in a PG-13 movie. They didn't use it.
I have no idea.
They didn't
I think you're right.
They
you
swear.
are right. They swear.
I think
at
they
least
swear.
A few times. Maybe they have like a currency. Like you can say shit like 3 times, or you get 1 fuck. One of the two.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they said shit at least a few times.
That's right.
So that's it. They were just watching the tally, and they're like, "You've used it up, and you can't use the f bomb."
That's
so, like,
right. Yeah.
He can't say like, "I'm fucking Shazam." Shazam.
That was
Anyways,
awful.
yeah.
I think I got a crack in my glass here. Don't do that again. Anyway, so yeah, this movie isn't kidding around. It's playing around with themes that are heavy, and that first scene, I was just kind of shocked. I was like, "What? All right, well, that happened."
So you're introduced to the sins. What did you think of the design of the sins?
So I got a lot of I got good and bad stuff.
Yeah, I'm
about
the same
them.
way.
When they are played in this particular scene, when they are statues, I thought that was great.
Yes.
I thought that was great. They have the 7 sins are trapped in these statues, and their eyes glow, and they speak, but their mouths don't move, and they continue that trend throughout the movie. And I really liked that. I really liked that they were speaking to him. They're basically seducing him.
Yes.
And the voice they use, we saw this in the IMAX theater, and this is the first time, even we saw Captain Marvel in the IMAX theater, and I didn't really notice the presentation and the sound in that movie as much. This movie, with the voices of the sins, they really like the whole place was rumbling. They did a great sound design on the voices of the sins and the look with the red eyes.
Yeah.
I could get it. What did you think of that presentation, like the statues?
No, that's all good. It's more my one issue I had was I didn't like the design of probably half of them.
Yeah.
A couple of them stand out.
Yes.
Rage stands out.
Yeah.
Not Sloth. Gluttony stands out, obviously.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, you could put them all up next to me, and I wouldn't know who's who. The only reason I knew Greed was because they said specifically who Greed was, and he had multiple hands. And I'm like,
Yes.
I guess it
That
makes sense. You're grabby.
He's very grabby.
But the rest of them, like, there was that really big one with the fucking wings.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that was.
Yeah.
Envy, I don't know why that would be Envy. You know,
Yeah.
like it just, they all look like generic monsters. And on top of that, there were times where the CG for them was fucking horrible.
Yeah.
There's this one shot in particular where I'm very, very sure that something was definitely not finaled and they just had to ship it because it was drop dead day. There's a shot in particular at the Rock of Eternity where one of them is in the background and he is so pixelated, like overtly pixelated. I'm like, that's like a low resolution shot that they couldn't final, and they just had to throw it in.
Interesting. Yeah. So I have actually similar feelings about it because I liked there are some designs where they were so unique. I actually Greed. I knew who Greed was right away with the multiple arms. He didn't even have to have that scene where he points out Greed specifically.
Right.
And Gluttony, of course. But yeah, you're right. Some of them are too generic, and I think this is just a real missed opportunity for some like prosthetics or like animatronic stuff. It's really unfortunate that they decided to go all CG with them. But having said that, like there are moments in this movie that really use them to terrifying effect. And I'm coming back to this Amblin thing where this guy's a horror movie director and it shows.
Yeah.
So I did like some of them, but like you said, some of them are generic and they don't look so great. But we'll get into what they do specifically later because there's at least 2 moments that I was like, this is very, very cool.
Okay. You want to keep moving?
Yeah.
All right. So after all this, you're introduced to Billy Batson, and you get a great introduction where he basically steals a cop's car to be able to he doesn't steal the car. Sorry, he locks cops up so he can get to the car and use their computer to look up one of these motherly candidates.
Yeah.
He gets
Yeah,
to the
that's
house, finds out it's not his mom, and the cops catch him. And then he gets sent off to a boarding house. Is that what you call them? Or is it just a foster house?
Like foster home.
Home,
You mean
yeah.
foster home.
So foster home.
That's right.
And he's taken in by, I have the names here, Victor and Rosa. And they also have 5 other foster kids, Mary, Pedro, Eugene, Darla, and Freddie Freeman. Great name. And if I went into porn, that would probably be my name too.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm also going to skip ahead to this and we can all unpack it. While all this is going on, you've also got Savannah working with some company.
Well, it's his father's company.
Is it his father's company?
But
I didn't
he's
catch
like,
that.
yeah, it's his father's company.
But he's just sitting at the back room in the dark at all times.
You know,
his introduction was bananas.
Yeah, it
because
was really funny.
Who in any board meeting is like, okay, turn on all the lights except for that one. I'm going to sit right here.
In the dark.
Why? Just start. And then all of a sudden,
yeah.
ask her about the symbols.
Where'd you come from?
I didn't even know you were there, bro. It was very, very strange. But
yeah,
he's trying to get back into the cave of wonder.
I thought it was his. I might be wrong. I mean, because he goes to his father's
company
building.
after, yeah.
Oh, it might not be. It might be his.
It might be his.
Like he
they might be
started it.
dealing with mass hysteria, whatever.
Anyway,
in any case, at this point, he realizes, or he finds the symbols he's been looking for because they have video evidence of it.
Yeah.
He's got a weird door in his office because that's what people do that are crazy.
Yeah.
And then
he unlocks the door.
He unlocks the door to the cave and then gets the power from the wizard. So we've got 2 big things to unpack here, right?
Sure. What do you want to start with?
Let's start with Billy's introduction and stuff, because I think that could be pretty short. Is that it was a great introduction. It was fun. It was whimsical.
Yeah.
You knew he wasn't going to find his mom at the beginning.
Yep.
But it was revealed in a very good way. With a black woman answers the door, and it's like, you're not the mother I remember. And then the cops come, and the cops were actually pretty endearing.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't paint them in like the inept cop kind of way.
Right.
But I mean, they got played.
That's right.
And they had a good sense of humor about it, I feel. So it was actually a really well done scene. I didn't think they shit on cops too much.
That's true. And I feel like a lot of movies do shit on cops
Absolutely.
consistently. I enjoyed that introduction. The foster home itself, let's just get this out of the way right now. Foster mom, 10 out of 10. Total smoke show to the point where it was
very
distracting.
Yeah.
It was distracting how beautiful she was. Okay. And that's the last time we're going to mention that.
I was thinking the same thing. Victor's a lucky man.
Yeah, he is. He's a good-looking guy too.
He's
a good-looking guy. Yeah. So this foster home,
big old Toronto style home too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool.
So that's the other thing we should mention, that this whole movie was shot in Toronto.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say whole movie, I think some scenes were actually shot. It's supposed to be to take place in Philly, but it's shot. It's like Toronto for Philly, and we got people that's seen this movie shoot all over the city.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see, the subway that he goes on, that he makes his escape on, is obviously a TTC subway car.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Old style Toronto home. Great introduction to all of the kids, who all have this kind of endearing quality about them.
Yeah.
Right? Like Eugene, the little Asian kid, is like playing online. He's like, "Shut up, you suck!" Like screaming into the thing, and I'm like, "Oh man, that's real funny," because that's basically a documentary right there. And
Pedro?
I want to say Dora.
Oh, Darla.
Darla.
Yeah.
Darla.
She's adorable.
She was
the
adorable
actress,
to play.
so good.
I thought they were gonna play that out.
Yeah,
I was afraid that I was gonna be like, they're really kind of like, this is a part where I saw there was some restraint here, and that would have led me to go to basically think that they're beating you over the head with the family stuff. It's like one of those levers when you're doing that is the cuteness factor.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And Darla was basically that cuteness factor, and they didn't like ratchet it up to 11.
No.
They kind of they showed some restraint there, because they got a great actress to play her, and it was well written but showed some restraint. So
Yes.
I loved that. She was adorable but not insufferable.
No,
So, yeah.
And when she was getting to the point of approaching insufferable, they dialed
it back.
They cut it down
Yeah,
completely, right?
exactly.
And it was done well. She
Exactly.
didn't start bawling or anything like
Yeah,
that. She just kind of turned around and was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then Freddie kind of counsels her.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah,
So it was a good introduction to all the characters too. You got a feel for everybody.
I mean, we've got a movie with the 7 deadly sins. We got dueling wizards and alligator heads.
Jumon
Hansu, fake beards and all of this crazy whimsical stuff. And the most unrealistic thing about this movie was how fucking clean that foster home was. I couldn't get over it when they show the inside of the house. I'm like, if you have 6 kids living in a house like that, there's no way that house looks the way it does right now. Not a chance.
You're probably right.
But anyway, that's my only gripe with that scene.
So in terms
how
of
inviting the home looked,
it looked inviting. But you know what though,
inviting.
If I was running a foster home, I'd keep that shit clean. Because you want it to be inviting. You don't want the kids to be running off.
Of course. Yeah. But I mean, like, okay.
You're just a slob.
With 6 kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's nearly impossible to keep a home clean like that. There's just like, I'm not saying there's just going to be like spaghetti everywhere. I'm saying that there was like, it was such a homey, inviting place, and there was, it just didn't seem like there were 6 people living there.
Let's dial this back. I understand what you're saying, but you're absolutely wrong, and here's why. What happened in this scene was just before they're like, yo, we're going to go get foster kid number 6. Clean this shit up. We want it to be clean.
All right,
I mean, my house didn't look like this when you came. This table had no room on it.
There was no table.
There was no table. I built this from scratch. So that's the way I look at it. But no, it was
anyway
pretty clean.
Yeah, it was really
In terms of Savannah, let's go over to that. So you've got the thing that just shot, like, it was all fairly like, Discovery type of trope for like the villain to get his powers and whatever. Mm-hmm. But the thing that really got me was the way that woman just blew up when she touched the door.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's exactly, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. This guy's a horror director.
Yeah.
He was sneaking that shit in the entire movie.
And it made no sense.
But he's like,
fuck it, kill her.
This woman needs to die.
Yeah.
Now.
I have to kill something.
I gotta kill something.
They didn't let me kill John Glover.
I
gotta kill her.
Yeah, that's right. Because John Glover, his father survives that car accident. Which they don't make clear, by the way, until you see him later.
No.
I thought he was dead.
Yeah, I did too. And they're just like, his legs were not of use anymore.
Yeah, that's right. But they were still there too. Anyway, so, but yes, like, he finds her, and she, what I did like about this was there are real office politics there when she starts like wailing on him for interrupting her interview.
Yeah.
Which is like, I need to be interviewing these people. And I'm like, that is exactly what would happen at a normal office. Like, if someone takes over, someone does something like that.
Deservedly so.
I think so, yeah. I think Thaddeus really overstretches bounds there. But what I do really liked was the practicality of the search and how they had all the videos of the people talking about their experiences and how varied the people were.
Absolutely.
There were men, there were women, they were from all over the world.
Yeah.
It was pretty nifty.
Let's talk about Shazam's search. He's not very good at his job. Because if it took him 23 years to find somebody that's not tempted by the fucking forces of evil, or maybe...
No, he knew he was losing his power.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, how did he keep finding such bad candidates? There's got to be somebody out there that's not tempted by the 7 sins. For how many years that he was... It had to have been 30 years, at least, between Mark Strong then and Mark Strong now. I didn't see the date when they showed it.
Yeah.
Let's say 30 years.
Yeah, sure.
So in any case...
But yeah, so, like, he's basically... I get it. Like, he's basically looking for the perfect candidate until he's forced to choose the non-perfect candidate.
Yeah, he's like, fuck it, come here.
Yeah, and it's kind of what happens to Billy later. But
it's actually, and this is to skip forward, I just made this connection now. They show that he wouldn't get tempted by it. You know what I mean? Like, in this one, you could have the argument of being like, well, he didn't actually get tested, so you just kind of picked whoever.
Yeah.
But then later, you have that temptation moment when he has it.
Yeah.
And he has the orb or whatever you want to call it, and he totally plays it off.
That's right.
I'm like, holy shit. Like, I just made that connection now that it's like, oh yeah, he passed the test. He's the chosen.
Essentially, yes. Yeah. But yeah, so coming back to this scene, so they have all of these people describing what they saw and all of that. I did like that. I like the fact that it was just like tons of people from all over the world, all kinds of people. And then the next thing is the door scene with the woman doing the interview disintegrating when she touches the door, and him walking in and basically taking the sphere, which which has trapped the sins. But they put it interestingly. They say, Shazam, you have been looking for your candidate and you have not found your champion, but we have. Mm-hmm. So essentially they were on the same search. And it's like through some kind of cosmic balance in the universe, that the light and the dark search for that champion, and it has to happen, and you can't just squash the sins and like destroy them forever. They have to be there. So when a candidate comes in, he or she can choose. Right. So I liked the idea that that they were looking for their champion the entire time as well. Mm-hmm. So and they found Thaddeus, and the orb shooting into his eye, I thought was a really cool shot.
Yeah.
It was just like, and again, this is like PG-13. This thing goes into his eye. The way they shoot it, there's no blood, and it's shot in a way that you don't actually see it go into his eye. But like they show the glasses, they show everything other than the blood and the actual tangible violence, to convey the violence, basically. Absolutely. So I thought that was a pretty nifty scene. Although I don't understand why he doesn't kill him there. He doesn't kill Shazam, but I think it's for that reason, where it's like this cosmic game, basically this balance game where you're like, you have to play by the rules. So
I will contend that Shazam wanted all of this to happen, everything that transpired, and here's why.
Is this a Kurt Russell Santa Claus moment?
No. I don't even remember.
Remember with the hat? Remember at the end he's like, oh yeah, you can fly without your hat.
Yeah. Well, no, here's why I say this is because Shazam definitely didn't make any effort to try and stop Thaddeus from grabbing the orb at all. And
it's an awkwardly shot scene.
It is, because it's like he has ample time. Because here's the thing is, if after he gets it, he's weak and can't even do anything, I get it. You've established he's got no more power to be able to fight him. He was just standing there watching. He's like, don't do that. You got it. And then all of a sudden he starts casting huge lightning bolts at him, and he's like,
too late.
Yeah, a little bit too late for that. So that's why I'm just like, he's just like, you know what? It's been 30 years.
Just take it.
Fuck it. Just take it, and then I'll get the next guy and see what happens.
I'll get the next one.
Yeah, I'll get the next one, and then I'll just fade away. It'll be fine.
It is an awkwardly shot scene.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. But it didn't bother me too much.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So that leads, I guess, to the next set of events.
Yeah, so basically, Billy, Freddy, Darla, the whole gang goes to school. And this is where you have that Darla moment where he says, I'm not your brother. Things get a little tense. Freddy and Billy try to connect. Well, Freddy tries to connect with Billy. Mary meets them after school. So everybody's trying to connect with Billy, and Billy's not having any of it. However, Billy does come back and fight for Freddy because the bullies come and hit him with his car. Which is bananas. But anyways, Billy defends him, beats the crap out of the bullies briefly, and then runs away onto the TTC. And that's when the TTC goes to the Rock of Eternity, meets Shazam, and he gets his powers in a spectacular fashion.
That's right. So let's talk about this.
Yes.
These bullies, completely ridiculous 80s bullies. That's what they are.
Yeah.
They are outrageously cliched. And just like run a kid over, and then get out of the car and beat him up, and he's a cripple. It's like they're really stacking the deck against these bullies. But so that was one thing I noticed. The other thing, when he does get his powers in that big scene, perfect. I thought that was great.
Yeah, it was a really well done scene. Yeah. There was a lot of comedic moments in there that were actually, they played quite well.
The put your hands on my staff and say my name. He's like,
we all thought that.
I like when they wrote that, because they're like, when they say this line, everyone's gonna think that he's talking about his dick. So, but the fact that they played into the joke kind of alleviates that.
Absolutely,
that
tension.
It did. Yeah, that was a good.
When they said it, I was like, you cannot just say that. And then they said that, I was like, oh,
that's funny.
Cool.
That was funny. Played like they went head first into that, so to speak.
And then when he actually appears and you see him hit the deck, and kind of the superhero stance and stand up, and you got the reveal. I mean, he looks like a legit superhero.
Yeah, he does.
Until you zoom out and see the fucking stupid muscles. But and then Juman Hansu gets it just as bad as the lady does.
Yeah, he disintegrates because he's basically on his last, like the dying moments of his life, and he needs to transfer the power to somebody. So, and he chooses Billy Batson. As soon as he transfers the power, he just kind of like disintegrates.
Yeah, completely out of necessity. Now, then after he realizes that he's got these powers, mainly because now he looks like a 30-something-year-old man, he goes to Freddy, who has already been established as being sort of a superhero expert.
Yeah, superhero nerd.
And then you get at least a few different training scenes, pretty much almost one after the other, mixed in with some other stuff. But there's one really great one in the park. Then you've got the convenience store fight.
Yes.
And then you've got kind of a montage of him filming things and posting things to YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah.
Now, also while this is happening, you also get that scene of Savannah going to his father's business or office tower or whatever, and unleashes the sins, fucks everybody up. And I'm glad he did whatever he did to his brother, because not only was the younger version of his brother a dick, as soon as I saw his older version, I'm like, oh, you were cast to be hate, especially with the part and the hair and everything. There's something about him that I'm like, you are unlikable to sight.
It's like Walter Peck from Ghostbusters. Like everyone hates that guy's face.
Like, just they really on principle.
So let's talk about the boardroom scene first, and then we'll talk about the montage, like the superhero stuff after that. I loved this scene. Again, being a horror fan, this scene played in ways that I had no idea that they were going to go there. It was shot like a horror movie, and into some great dialogue between Savannah and his brother and his father, who's in the movie, who you find has lost the use of his legs due to the accident that Savannah caused.
Right, yeah. When, going head first out of the... really affected his legs.
Well, I mean, he's paralyzed.
I'm sure.
Like, you asshole. Anyway, it's not very nice. So they come in and he unleashes the sins, and you see them I think this is the first time you see them moving around.
I think so.
And the one, I can't remember, it was like Sloth or something, grabs one of the this is where it started. I'm like, holy crap, they just did that. Grabs one of the guys in this boardroom. These guys just came to work today, went to their board meeting, and this guy gets his head eaten off of his shoulders. He grabs him and he puts his teeth around his head, and then the camera pans down and you see his legs shaking and twisting. And I'm like, oh man, they really went for it here. But even before that, when he's talking to his brother, and you said his brother's gonna get it, he's a real and they're really setting that up. He just grabs him and throws him out the fucking window. And I was like, this is some RoboCop shit right now. This is the RoboCop boardroom scene, PG-13 version of that. That's what this is. And he just fucking throws him out, and then the sins go like completely ham on everyone and start viciously murdering everyone in that room. And you get to the guard who's outside, and the doors and the windows to that room are those like frosted windows. You can see shadows and stuff. But this is where it was shot like a horror movie, where the guy gets thrown into the thing, shocking him, and then people are running trying to get out. All you see are shadows and these monsters grabbing them, ripping them from the windows, and like the sound editing is like crazy, and it's super intense. And I was like, holy shit, that was a quintessential horror moment. And I loved it. I loved that scene. It was so unexpected. I had no idea that they were going to do anything like that. But again, 80s Goonies and Gremlins all have these horrific moments in them. And I think someone growing up with Shazam is going to get a similar type of experience. And that kind of just makes me happy that there are kids that are going to be growing up with that. And like I said, this guy's sneaking that horror shit into every frame. Like anywhere he can, he's sneaking in. And there's one more moment in particular we'll talk about in the final fight where he sneaks it in again. But yeah, no, I really like this scene. What did you think?
I felt the same way. I thought it was a pretty good scene.
Did you find it shocking? You didn't find it shocking
I didn't really
at all?
find it shocking. I felt shocking that they had to go there for his origin. You know, like I thought his father had died. I didn't really give a shit about his brother at that point. Like I didn't think that he had to go back and do that. I was kind of interested to see what he did, like what his master plan was going to be. And just to go and get kind of some petty family revenge, I was kind of like, that's weird. Like, that's when I started to be like, that seems like kind of a step in a weird direction. But okay, I guess you want to establish that he's evil.
Yeah, well, it's not just evil, right? He was affected by the same emotion that gave other that makes other people fallible. Right? It's like this emotion of revenge. So that's what. Being treated the way he was by his father and his older brother, he grew into this very toxic person. So revenge is a huge part of that. And even, sorry, we kind of glazed over this, but we should step back real quick. When Shazam is explaining to Billy Batson what the selection of the champions are and what happened, the reason they're being so careful, right? Selecting their next champion is because the last champion they chose used his powers for revenge.
Yep.
So they're tying these two things together. This idea of gaining the power,
Yeah.
and executing someone that you've always wanted to kill or someone who's wronged you.
Yeah.
And that's tied to this impurity,
Right.
right? So and by the way is Black Adam.
Who, by the way, is going to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson,
Yes.
unless they recast him.
I wish
It's
you
been a
could see
while
his
since
face.
they had announced it. Well,
Yeah.
you did, kind of. I mean, it
He's
was
in it-
definitely his profile and his
He's
facial
bald.
profile.
Well, I thought he was wearing the hood. He was wearing
You
the
were,
black hood.
but he was, but the facial profile in there
Yeah.
looked generic, but still at the same time looked like him.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, I would say
So.
it's-
Yeah, the last champion they chose was used it for revenge and unleashed the sins, and many people died.
Yeah.
So that's why they're being so careful about choosing their next champion.
Right.
But they're running out of time.
Yeah.
He's running out of time.
Absolutely.
So I think that's why they had the scene of him going back to exact revenge on his family.
True.
Great scene. It's a standout scene for me, in my opinion. But yeah, and then we have the montage stuff. What'd you think of that?
Montages never really
Well,
throw me that
this
much.
one, sorry.
The
It wasn't a
park scene,
montage.
yeah.
Sorry.
There was a
not
few things. The montage stuff didn't thrill me. The park scene and the convenience store
loved it.
scenes, however, were pretty
Perfect.
great.
I think those were just absolutely spot on.
They were done well. It's the way that you would do it if you were a kid with superpowers all
Yeah.
of a sudden trying to discover what it is that you're doing. You've got those comedic moments with, A, not being comfortable in his own skin, and B, not being comfortable with what he can do. So
Yeah.
you've got both of those things happening at the same time, which is interesting.
Yeah. The park scene in particular, I loved that scene because someone's mugging a woman in the park.
Yeah.
He runs over, realizes he's super fast, and knocks the guy over.
Yeah.
like brutally knocks him over, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And and the woman's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I had it handled. She's like, "Weren't you screaming?" He's like, no. She's like, "No, he was screaming because I sprayed him with pepper spray."
Yeah.
And I thought that whole scene was so funny. He's like, "Oh, well, he's got your purse." She's like, "No, my purse is right here. I didn't let him take it." And I was like, "This is great."
Yeah.
And this movie is unique for all of those, like the family stuff and all of that, but also the execution of a lot of these scenes are very unique. I haven't seen that before, where the lady's like not just a damsel in distress; she actually had everything totally in control.
Yeah.
He just assumed she didn't. So I thought that was really funny. That kind of stood out to me. The convenience store scene had one of the biggest for me, the biggest laughs in that scene was when he takes on. Sorry, let me back it up. There's still so much detail here about him being a kid and not realizing that he has this power.
Right.
When the perps come in, or when the girl's getting mugged, his first instinct is to hide.
Yes.
Right? Like, so when the perps come into the convenience store, for example, he hides behind his Freddie Freeman. He's hiding behind the thing. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh yeah, right. Let me step out there and take care of this."
Yeah.
He has to be reminded because he's not used to it. So I like those little details.
Yeah.
And then of course he gets shot by one of the perps, and Freddie Freeman takes out his phone. This is such a good scene because he ends up taking the guns from him. He takes the gun from one guy, right? But he shoots him. He finds out you have. Who fucking says bullet immunity?
That was a weird
I don't
choice.
even know why they say that.
He said bullet immunity, and then Shazam goes
I'm bulletproof. Yeah,
So I
yeah.
guess, I don't know. Freddie kept saying immunity everything.
Yeah,
So it's kind
yeah.
of a weird choice. It was annoying, but.
So he gets shot, finds out that he's bulletproof, and Freddie Freeman pulls out his phone. He's like, "Okay, shoot him again." It's like, yeah, shoot me again to film it.
Yeah.
And he gives the guy his gun back, and the guy shoots him again. He's like, "This is great." It's like, we don't know if it's the suit,
Yeah.
or if it's you. It's like, okay, shoot him in the face next. He's like, "Yeah, shoot me in the face," and realize what he just said. He's like, "Oh no, wait!" And it's just this scene just cracked me up.
Yeah.
I was in absolute stitches. I thought it was perfectly edited. It was the acting was on point. The dialogue was perfect. One of the biggest laughs in the movie for me.
True. Yeah, I would say so. Okay, so anything else you want to say about that?
No, the reaction to beer is the same reaction to beer I had when I first had it.
What?
Yeah, when I first had beer, I literally spat it out. It's disgusting.
What's wrong with you?
That also made me laugh.
All right. You are strange, sir. So
I just had this picture of you, and you were 12, and you were just down in Canadian in your
13,
parents' basement, just being like, "This is great."
13 in a park. No.
Okay, right.
So later, I guess after all this, Freddie's playing with the fact that he now has a superhero best friend, and
right.
I do in quotation marks, And then he starts bragging at school and kind of getting a little too comfortable with the fact that he's got a superhero best friend. And at that point, Billy kind of knocks him down a peg. Billy skips school the next day, kind of ditches Freddy for a lunch date with Shazam that he never really confirmed for.
That's right.
And then you find out that he's just putting on a show for people on the Rocky Steps in Philadelphia.
Right. That's right.
Meanwhile, while he's doing all of that, he ends up actually almost killing a whole busload of people, which, frankly, they should all be dead.
Yeah.
Because that was... I didn't buy that at all. And then Savannah comes, and then they kind of have a melee.
Yeah.
And through a mall, which, like you said before, not super exciting in terms of the fight scene. There was some comedic bits about it, like the changing room scene, which was kind of funny. But outside of that, it was just standard action movie schlock.
In that whole thing, one thing I wanted to point out is when they actually managed to get a bunch of money from an ATM and they buy games, right? And Eugene obviously plays games, but they're playing games together. Did you see what they were playing?
Yeah, Mortal Kombat.
Were they playing MK11?
Had my eyes open. Yeah.
Were they playing 11?
Yeah.
Or,
no,
not the new game. It was the old game, right?
It was 10.
It was
10.
X. And it's the character that he's playing as. He's playing as Raiden, which I thought was really funny. With all the lightning stuff. So when they were playing that, he's like, "I finished him." Like this all just kind of like
as a kid.
As a kid, we play that game now. And we really like that game. Yeah. So it's like basically that was a win from the start. You throw Mortal Kombat into a movie, I'm in.
Right.
I'm in. So that was pretty effective. So this bus thing did not make a whole lot of sense because he basically stops the bus the same way the concrete would have stopped the bus.
Yes.
And I do appreciate everything leading up to the moment where it falls off, like the people falling and him bringing a mattress over. I thought there's a lot of like really funny stuff. This movie is incredibly funny. Him stopping it and putting it down, I was like, those people should all be dead. Or basically the bus should have just collapsed from from where he's touching it in 2 points. He would have just gone right through the windshield and probably killed people, and then the fall would have killed people. So they just kind of were like, physics,
fuck it. But the thing is this is at the point of the movie where they were starting to lose me.
Yeah.
Freddy was getting extremely annoying.
Obnoxious.
Up until obnoxiously so. Absolutely. At a certain point, he was okay earlier, and then it kept on building.
That's where
they didn't cut the tension like Darla until the very last minute with him. Because at this point, it kind of was okay with me. It became okay. But the jokes on the fucking lightning in my hands crap, I was just like,
That song was in my head at work the next day. I was just at my desk. I was like, hands, lightning from my hands, lightning from my hands. I was like, I was just singing that at work. I was just like, it got in my head. I don't know. I thought it was really catchy. It was catchy, but also he was being an asshole. So
you also have never seen Rocky, so you're not.
That's true.
You're out of your. Shut the fuck up.
That's true.
No, you're not allowed to talk.
That does me not seeing Rocky.
It absolutely does. You're not allowed to talk about anything Rocky related without seeing Rocky.
Tiger,
we're talking over each other,
which is redone by a giant man-child who shoots lightning bolts from his hands. I don't think that has any bearing on that.
I argue that it does.
Well, you're stupid. You're just a dummy. You're a dummy, sir.
Oh my god. Anyways, Savannah comes at literally the perfect time because a whole bunch of shit was starting to accumulate and it wasn't very good at that point. Like things were getting to a point where it was almost approaching not very good, and then he came right at the right moment. I've never been so happy to see a supervillain in a movie in my life.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. This is the part that sagged.
Yes.
It was like a lot of this montage stuff and a lot of Freddy where they took it. Sorry, not Freddy, but they took Billy's use of the powers to the point, to that breaking point.
To the breaking point,
and,
yes.
And what Freddie Freeman says to him after they save the bus, I actually thought was really well done. It was well written.
Yes.
That was a scolding that he absolutely 100% needed, and I think that scene really does work.
Right.
But I think it only works because they did take it to that extreme. I probably would have cut some of that stuff out if I were, talented, but achieve some sort of success. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it breaks the movie, but I 100% agree with that. They took it a little too far.
Yeah. So basically,
they had the fight.
Yeah.
Right. I like this fight, not because it's something I would demo or anything. I love this fight because Shazam is basically running away the entire time.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen that. Like, where the hero is basically, the hero's getting his ass kicked, but it's not like this one. He's actually physically running. Like, he learns to fly, and in this scene, in this moment, and he's running through this, like, this mall or whatever. And I just like the fact that he's retreating the entire time. And, like, physically retreating, not just getting his ass beat,
right.
but, like, he's, like, literally running away.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's their first knockdown brawl, and they really just have a second one later on. But before all that, Savannah doesn't know anything about Billy or how to find him.
That's right.
As soon as he calls out the wizard's name and turns back to Billy Batson and gets out of there in very unspectacular fashion,
yes,
he realizes he can get to him from Freddy because he saw him on the thing.
He knows that Freddy knows who
Shazam is, right.
Yeah.
But before we get back to that, what happens is Billy finally goes back to the foster home and he gets a scolding, but all of the other orphans get together and they find Billy's mom. And for some great reason, she's 2 blocks away or 2 subway rides away or stops away. So he goes to see his mom, who subsequently doesn't really want him. Which is, kind of sad, but makes some sense.
Yeah, that scene was like, that's a scene that I didn't really have any anticipate. Like, I didn't anticipate anything. I was like, is she dead? Is she like something happened? Like, at the same time that he was missing, like something happened to her.
Yeah.
I didn't think that she was basically said, fuck it.
This
is my chance.
Yeah.
Like, so, by the way, the scene at this carnival, that happens at the beginning of the movie where Billy gets lost and separated from his mom as a kid.
Yeah.
They show some of that scene again when he's talking to his mother after he's found her. It's different.
It is,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because, like, when Billy remembers it, his mom is super enthusiastic and, like, really kind of in this halo of, like, being that important person in your life. But when he meets her and they re-show that scene when she explains, I was 17, I was so young, like, she's exasperated.
Yes.
In that scene. And I was like, that is a subtlety. I think that, again, this movie does things that I didn't think that, like, this kind of movie would do.
Yeah.
The horror stuff, the subtlety of that particular difference. So I really did appreciate that. And it's delivered in a way where it's effective. I thought that was a really effective scene, and it solidifies that Billy has a new family.
Yes. Yeah.
And,
it closes the door on that quest completely
right.
for him, and now he can invest completely in this new family.
Right.
So while he's doing that, that's when Savannah shows up to the foster home, doesn't abduct, but basically calls him and says, hey, I'm with your kid, I'm with your friends, your family now, essentially. So come or I'll kill them all.
Yeah.
He shows up, brawl ensues, they all run away. Well, yeah, sorry, brawl ensues. No, they go to the Rock of Eternity. They escape the Rock of Eternity after the kids follow him in.
Yeah.
And then that's when they basically try to escape again, and that's where really the whole finale transpires.
At this winter carnival.
At this winter carnival, yes.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because this scene, the seven sins are present. They're holding the family hostage. They jump into the Rock of Eternity because he agrees to transfer his power. Because that's what Savannah's looking for.
Yeah.
He's like, I need the sins don't fuck around. They know that Shazam, the champion of Shazam, can take Savannah out.
Right.
So they tell him, absorb his power.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why he's going to do it. And so they go back to the Rock of Eternity, and the way you transfer the power, they have the staff. You got to hold the staff and say the wizard's name. All of that wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
So they go back in there, and they have a pretty great chase.
Yeah.
Actually, which ends up being a pretty great chase because unbeknownst to Thaddeus, all of the family has followed them into the Rock of Eternity.
Right.
And they throw a batarang at Thaddeus's head, and he notices that when the sins are all out, Thaddeus is actually mortal, like, because he starts bleeding.
Right.
So he ends up running
way more.
Yeah. Basically, runs way more, but he has to get his family out.
Yes.
Right. And which leads to the scene that just like it just made me super happy again, where they come to this room with a bunch of doors, and they open these doors. the craziest, weirdest shit is behind these doors. The first door they're open, there's a
Three
bunch
crocodiles
of
playing poker.
anthropomorphic crocodiles in suits. They're wearing suits.
Yeah.
They're playing poker. And he's like, what? They turn over and they start charging at him through the door, and he closes the door.
Which I'm sure a lot of this stuff is like references to something in
Yeah.
the books, but I have no idea.
You
I
know
don't
what
know
the
enough
crazy
about the
thing
Shazam
is?
books.
You know what the crazy thing is? My brother today, I was just hanging out with him, and I told him I saw Shazam. He's like, remember this episode of the TV show that Bob, our uncle, had recorded for me? This is my brother talking. He's like, I watched it so many times. I never saw any other episode. I just saw this one. But they couldn't say the word because all of them, their heads were turned into alligator heads. This is literally what he said to me. And I'm like, you're kidding. He's like, no, why? I'm like, you should watch this movie. So it must be like, I didn't look it up or anything, but there must be a callback back to like some kind of like episode from this year. But it was so weird.
Yeah.
Everyone in one house filled with fog, and this crazy tentacle comes up. Like it's super weird. And finally Shazam's like, stop opening the doors, because they're all fucking crazy and weird. So they end up escaping and going to the carnival.
Right. And then at that point, basically, there's the fight at the end, and the Sins come out to try and wrangle up the kids.
Yep.
Savannah almost gets what he wants, but then in a crazy, and I can't really properly describe how crazy it is that we had no idea that this was coming.
Right.
All of a sudden, you get the whole Captain Marvel family in one go.
Yeah.
Blew me away because I didn't even know that like Adam Brody was cast or any of those other actors were cast.
Like Megan Good is in there too. Like there's a couple like I don't know how they managed to keep that under wraps.
Yeah, it blew me, and they all looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it was, I don't know. I was blown away. There was
That was
even thinking about it still, it just kind of blows me away. Because when I saw that, that's when I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. There's typically I'm fairly quiet while watching movies, or laughing and all that stuff. When I say quiet,
calm
not
down.
I guess what I mean to say is I don't clap.
You yell. You absolutely go.
I laugh. Ah! Yeah, I laugh. Yeah. But
or
I'm not.
No one else is.
Yeah. It's
Constantly.
It's funny. If it's funny, I'm gonna laugh for sure.
Oh.
But I guess what I mean to say is there's no moments where I'm just like.
It's
there's
odd.
a lot of clapping.
Yeah. It's odd that I'll start clapping in a movie, but I
Yeah.
will if everybody's doing it, and I felt the same way.
Yeah.
It's odd.
So this is the closest that I've ever felt the urge to to clap.
Yeah.
Like, because this moment in the movie is delivered so perfectly. And the costuming is perfect.
Yeah.
Like everyone looks great. The actors they chose, like there are people I recognized.
Yeah.
Where I'm used to being on top of like movie news.
Yeah.
And like this was completely, they came out of nowhere. I had a feeling they might do it, like because it's such a huge part of the mythology, right? Of the movie, but this moment is it's earned.
Yes.
It doesn't feel tacked on.
No.
And it delivers what, in my opinion, is a great third act, which I think movies like Wonder Woman have a problem with that third act. Black Panther has a problem with that third act. To a smaller extent, I think Captain Marvel has a similar problem in their third act. But this was a well executed third act punch.
Absolutely.
And I really, really loved it when it happened. I was like, this is wild, and it's so unique.
Yeah.
So unique. It's uniquely a Captain, or just like Shazam thing.
Yes.
And they managed to execute it, I think, in the best possible way.
Right.
I don't think there was anything you could have done better. Mm-hmm. And each of the Marvel family, like, they showcase their powers a little bit, because Shazam is an acronym, like the
strength of
the speed. Sorry,
we're not going through all of them. Forget it.
Wait.
I don't. No, come on, man. Fuck off.
Strength of Hercules. Wisdom of Solomon. Strength of Hercules. That's
Stamina of Atlas.
Stamina. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to...
Power of Zeus. Lightning of Zeus. Oh, and then another A.
He's an asshole. Let's continue. So, anyways,
the assholiness.
I'm going to get
Justin.
to the end of this film so that we can start wrapping it up. But so after this, they end up taking out all the sins out of Savannah except for Envy. He Shazam or Captain Marvel, I guess Shazam,
Yeah.
goads Envy out of
Yes.
Savannah. Envy goes after him. They take out Savannah. He goes to jail, and then everybody still has powers. Captain Marvel finally, or Shazam finally shows up for that lunch that he missed, along with the rest of the family.
Yep.
And then you get the lamest fucking cameo in cinematic history of a non-Henry Cavill Superman in a Henry Cavill Superman suit shows
right.
up.
That's right.
I can't tell you how angry that stupid scene made me, and here's why. One, don't do that if you can't cast the actor, for one. Because then you're getting into schlocky TV nonsense where you've got, like, for instance, you've got characters that are just seen but not mentioned, or I guess it's more mentioned but not seen, or if they are in a scene, their heads are all fucking foggy and you can't see there. I hate that shit. It's like, don't do that.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. And when you got that in a movie like this, where they really didn't play into any of the DC cinematic universe, like, they basically were like, you know what? Let's make this be our movie. It exists in there. We've got Batarangs. We've got talk about Superman. But you know what? This is our own movie. We got the Marvel family. We've got this brand new villain.
Yep.
We've got this awesome family. We got a great movie here. And then at the end, you tack that shit on. It completely undercuts everything that they just executed in the last 2 hours. Pisses me off. That's my rant.
I don't think it... Okay, so I think it was a dumb thing to do, for sure. I don't think it undercuts what had just happened, personally. I just think it was 100% just tacked on to the end, and it was kind of... It's kind of lame.
Had that been Henry Cavill, I would literally have no qualms about it. It's just that
Even if it was Henry Cavill, I actually would have thought that would have been lame.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about saying it.
Movie didn't need it. That scene where Shazam shows up for that lunch and pretends to know, sorry, not pretends to know, he knows Freddie Freeman, obviously.
Yeah.
I think that's the only closure that we needed in that scene.
Yeah. I wouldn't have minded if
really
Superman showed up and talked to Captain Marvel at some point.
Yeah.
But, like, all of a sudden they're friends. That's also just a weird thing to bring in.
Yeah, because that should be its own thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that should be, like, their first meeting should be something that's done on camera.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought it was really dumb, and maybe they'll just ignore it if that ever happens.
Yeah.
So a word on this fight that they have at the end. So
Yeah.
the Marvel family fights all of the sins, and I don't know if you noticed, this is another scene where they bring in the horror, like, big time, and it's literally in the background where someone's running away from Gluttony, I think the big guy. And then in the background, like, as they're running in the background, you see Gluttony's mouth open, but then his entire belly, like, slices open. He's got teeth everywhere, and he's like, but it's happening in the background, like, as he's being chased, so he's kind of out of focus. And I'm like, he's just hiding the shit because I'm sure he was like, this is Gluttony. His entire fucking belly opens up and he eats you like that. And the studio's probably like, it's probably too much. And he's like, okay. And then he put him in the background. he put that shot in the background. And then this scene also introduces one of the... Sorry, so the whole thing about the Shazam stuff, it's an acronym, all of the different powers. Each of the Marvel family kind of displays a different aspect. Like, someone's really, really fast, like the speed of Hermes, and someone is really strong, Hercules, stuff like that. But Shazam seems to retain all of the powers.
Yes.
Because he is, in fact, the wizard.
Yes.
So I think and it didn't really occur to me that he was until he was able to transfer his powers, because he's taken over the throne of the wizard. So he's flying, and Savannah and him have this standoff where they're flying, and Savannah starts talking, like, doing the bad guy monologue. This delivered the next biggest laugh in the theater. I think it was in the theater, at least for me it was, where they're so far away that Savannah's delivering this really scary monologue, and Shazam can't hear him. So really well written. Something I've always thought about in movies when people talk and they're really far away but they can still hear each other. Addresses that, like, right on the spot. So very, very well executed joke.
Right.
That was really good. And the fact that Envy was something that was really close to Savannah was also, I thought, was a nice touch.
Good note. Yeah.
It was a nice touch that he was paired with him, because that was the sin that the sin that he connected to the most.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So in the end, the scene itself, like the action, it's fun, but not a demoable scene. Not something I would use to demo, like, audio videos. I wouldn't call it like Aquaman has way those scenes I'll be watching forever.
Yeah.
Right. This doesn't have that, but like I said, the moments are what make this movie.
Yes.
Like the plot and the themes of this movie are what make it a good movie. Not necessarily the action execution. Although I did think the action was better than Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For the most part. The pairings of the adult versions versus the kid versions was great. Good casting. Like, did we mention that? I'm sorry.
We mentioned good casting.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to mention was the Eugene.
Yeah.
He ends up getting the Zeus thing. He gets the lightning.
Yeah.
Hand lightning from my hands.
Yeah.
He gets that, and he fucking uses it and says Hadouken.
Yes.
And yeah, I literally like
that.
shat myself when he said that. There's another. Now we have a Mortal Kombat and a Street Fighter like reference, and I think there's a Finish Him like reference there too at the end. I'm pretty sure he says that at the
end. Might
have. But yeah, no, it's just like tons of fun.
Yeah,
tons of fun.
That's really it. I mean, it's funny. I was a friend of mine asked me what I was, or to let him know how I thought the film was.
Yeah.
And the first thought I had is like, yo, you should take your kid, man. Like, your kid would love this. Like, to me, it's a kid's movie that adults can see as well.
Yeah.
But then I realized his kid's like 2, so it's not really going to help him.
But it's also, it's also scary. Like,
it's got some scary elements too. Like it's a good ride. Like don't let my like I said, I know I'm not as positive as you about this, but that's not because I think it's a bad movie. I don't think that at all. I think it's quite good.
Yeah.
It's just that it's not my preference.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, I would recommend this to anybody that asked. Hell, I've been recommending it to Nisha since I got home because I think she'll legitimately enjoy this film.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
The stinger in the movie is the Caterpillar, Mr. Mind, shows up while Thaddeus is in jail.
Yeah.
And he's like an intergalactic cosmic caterpillar of some kind. And the fact that they brought him in there, they're really going to get weird with it, I think. They talk about the 7 realms, which is another thing from the Shazam mythology.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to mention was they're pushing the stuffed tiger. Like they mentioned that several times during the movie, and that's a reference to Tawny, I think it's called.
Yeah.
But it's a human tiger. It's a tiger person,
right,
that can speak. So that's also from the Shazam mythology, and like they're getting weird with it, and not shying away from all that stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. And the fact that Mr. Mind is in the movie, just
You were mentioning it. Yeah. You were mentioning it before we went, and you were saying, I can't remember what you said, but this Mr. Mind. And like I said, I'm not as well versed in Captain Marvel lore, but
I'm not either. I just know about this because I read about it in one of the stories.
So when you send this picture of this caterpillar, I'm like, that's fucking absurd. Literally 2 minutes into the film, he's there in a glass case. I almost left. I was like, fuck it, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah. That's right. I remember that because he's in the jar.
Yeah.
And he escapes when the sins escape.
Yeah, you see the empty jar later. Yeah. And I thought that was the end of it. And then when they did that, I thought they were going to try and introduce Black Adam, which I would have blown it would have blown my mind.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's him, and I'm like, not again.
Really? Caterpillar. Oh, it was
a lot. Oh, not a lot. I think it was done well, but it's also absurd. Like that's another one of those things that I'm like, how did anybody think that this would play very well in a film? But that's the thing is like I don't know Mr. Mind well enough. So
no, I don't.
We'll
I've
see
only
how
read
it
him in
works.
1 or 2 stories. In fact, a quick thing to mention is that a lot of my experience with Shazam has been from the Elseworld stories, like Kingdom Come.
Yeah,
was the first story that I read that had Captain Marvel Shazam in it.
Right.
And quick little thing that I like kind of put together after it was all done. I'm pretty sure Lex Luthor in Kingdom Come, the Mark Waid, Alex Ross story, which takes place in the future, he says that Savannah, before he died, designed the worms that go into Shazam's ears. And those worms are what's left of Mr. Mind. So basically, they're tiny Mr. Minds.
Interesting.
And so he's a strong telepath.
Yeah.
That was Mr. Mind's thing. So the worms that are controlling Billy Batson
right.
are a function of Savannah, like, breaking Mr. Mind down in some crazy way. So that was the first thing that led me down. I'm like, who's this? Like what is this about? And
right.
That's kind of, but yeah, no, interesting little tidbit there because I've read that. We've read Kingdom Come hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And that was a piece of mythology that I was always kind of missing. Kind of put it together just now.
True.
So
nice.
Yeah. And last thing to mention, credits. The end credits were really fantastic, I thought, in this movie. Usually the end credits are good. Like, I thought the Aquaman end credits were really nicely put together, but this was really fun. It was kind of like a hand-drawn notebook animated thing, but it's him interacting with all the Justice League members.
Yeah.
So it's like he's waiting in line and everyone's taking pictures with him, but suddenly they all run away and all of them are like taking pictures with Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Mm-hmm. Or like he steals the Batmobile to take Wonder Woman to his prom. Like the stuff like that. It's really funny. The Captain Marvel family, the one girl, what was her name? Not Deborah.
Mary?
Starts with a D.
Darla.
She's got the speed of Hermes, so she's running really fast. So in this animated thing, she races the Flash, and the Flash like gets really, really tired and like peters out. Like that it's kind of cute, and it was fun to watch.
Also, I looked it up. The wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the speed of Achilles, not Hermes.
Oh, F.
And I guess the planet of Mercury. I don't know what Mercury does.
The speed of Achilles?
Yeah. I don't know.
I've been getting that wrong for a long time.
Yeah, because I would have thought Hermes, right? Achilles, I thought was a.
I think Hermes was like, he was fast. He was like the messenger with.
Yeah, Hermes was too. I don't know.
Anyway, yeah. Well, there it is.
There's no goddamn H in. There's no second H in Shazam.
Right.
We know Hercules.
Shazam.
All right.
But yeah, no, in general, I thought it was a really, really fun, well put together movie, and I hope a lot of people go to see it because it's just I haven't felt that good walking out of a theater in a long time. Just like happy. I just kind of felt happy walking out of that movie. It's been a while because I watch a lot of dreary, depressing movies.
You do.
I think, yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Your connection to going home late at night and like just being like, I'm gonna put on a horror movie.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Cheap slasher movie is like bananas to me.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
rarely do that. But if you want to do that, no, you know what? I take it back. I'm dumb. Courage of Achilles, because he was an earthbound warrior, I think, or was Achilles a god?
No, Achilles. He wasn't a god.
Yeah, he was an earthbound warrior.
I'm not.
Mercury's the fast one. Speed of Mercury.
Speed of Mercury. Yes, that's right.
All right.
The planet of Mercury.
I know. That's why I didn't know who it was. So I was like, it's a planet. That I know.
Oh my god. Okay. So you didn't know what it was. You just filled it with the planet of Mercury.
Oh, yeah.
The thermometer of Mercury.
Yeah. Okay. The temperature reading properties of Mercury.
It's just a guy. He says Shazam.
Yeah,
he just turns
puts it in. He's like, that's hot. Shazam's one of his superpowers is to touch meat and be like, that is thorough. That's a perfect medium rare. Send it out. So let's we'll end it on that. Thank you very much for listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for watching. And till next time. We've got
subscribe and stuff. We don't do this.
We don't do this enough. But if you like what we were watching, and I'll do this at the beginning too, because it's plug in the beginning. But if you like what we're doing, subscribe. And if you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe wherever you're doing it, but also rate and leave a comment because that helps us out too. So
that's right.
All right, thank you so much, folks. Till next time, we've got a few shows coming out this month.
That's right.
It's a busy goddamn month.
It's a big month. It's a big month for geeky movies.
Yeah.
So
till the next one. Take care.
See you guys.
Bye.
Drunk.